Elon Musk could earn $1 trillion. That headline is everywhere, and it misses the point. The 2025 CEO Performance Award isn't a bonus. It's a decade-long contract. No milestones, no payout. With the shareholders vote next week, November 6th, 2025, the question isn't, will Elon get paid? It's this: can these milestones be built at planetary scale? And what happens to ordinary life, to how we work, move, and live? In this video, we go past the big number to map the tranches, the operational gates that unlock them, and what each would mean for businesses, cities, and households. The award gives Musk up to 423.7 million Tesla shares, around 12% of the company, unlocked in 12 tranches. Each tranche requires 2 keys to turn. A market cap milestone, starting at $2 trillion and climbing to $8.5 trillion, and one operational milestone from a predefined list, such as profit, production, or technology deployment. The first tranche unlocks once Tesla sustains a $2 trillion valuation and hits any one operational gate. For example, $50 billion adjusted EBITDA over 4 consecutive quarters, 10 million active FSD subscriptions, 1 million Robotaxis in commercial operation, 1 million Optimus delivered, or 20 million vehicles delivered. When a tranche is earned, roughly 35 million restricted shares become eligible. But they don't pay. They vest after 7.5 to 10 years, and then must be held another 5 years before Musk can sell. Influence comes earlier. Liquidity arrives much later. For context, Musk holds roughly 410 million shares, nearly 13% today. If all 12 tranches are earned, his stake would be about 23%, and up to 28% if the disputed 2018 options are ultimately upheld. Significant voting power, but still not a majority. Key number 1 is market value. Every tranche starts with a cap rung. $2 trillion, then 2.5, 3, all the way to 8.5 trillion. Tesla currently sits around $1.5 trillion. So how big is 8.5 trillion? Today's AI leaders are already massive. Nvidia just crossed $5 trillion. Apple, $4 trillion. Microsoft hovering around $4 trillion. So $8.5 trillion would be roughly 2x the biggest companies today. But AI changed the slope. 5 years ago, Nvidia was only $315 billion. Today it's $5 trillion. A 74% 5-year compounded annual growth rate. That's what an industry step change looks like. So is $8.5 trillion absurd? Ambitious, yes. But if global markets compound 5 to 7% and Tesla actually captures large chunks of AI-driven mobility, robotics, and energy, the ladder is steep, not fictional. Meanwhile, several peers may be at or above 5 trillion by the time Tesla gets there. Key 1 is the price of entry for every tranche. Key 2, the operational gate, decides whether those rungs actually unlock. Each operational gate can unlock a tranche, from production and delivery milestones to software scale to profitability. But one of them stands above the rest as the purest test of execution: profit at planetary scale. To clear it, Tesla needs to produce $400 billion in adjusted EBITDA. Not revenue, profit. A number so large, it would put Tesla in the same financial orbit as the world's biggest energy and tech giants. So what does that really mean? Right now, Tesla generates roughly $95 billion in annual revenue and about $14 to $15 billion in adjusted EBITDA, a margin near 15%. Under the hood, automotive gross margin, excluding credits, is 17%. Energy storage roughly 25%, while software and FSD are likely north of 70% gross. To hit $400 billion EBITDA, Tesla must scale profit by about 26x. So let's translate margin into revenue. If Tesla stayed auto-heavy at 15% EBITDA, you'd need roughly $2.7 trillion in revenue. That's a stretch. Shift to a mixed model, about 25%. Required revenue falls to about $1.6 trillion. Push deeper into software, about 35% EBITDA, because Robotaxi/FSD/AI services dominate, and you're at nearly $1.1 trillion. In the most aggressive case, a true platform 45% EBITDA like a SaaS plus mobility and utility gets you there on roughly $0.9 trillion of revenue. The path clearly relies on margin expansion, not just unit growth. That means subscription FSD, high utilization robotaxi networks with software-like margins, AI automated manufacturing, and grid-scale energy services that monetize megawatt hours and uptime, not just hardware. If that shift happens, Tesla's financial DNA would look more like a hybrid of Apple plus Nvidia plus Uber. Devices, compute, and network economics stacked together. And remember, EBITDA is profit, not revenue. With the valuation ladder scaled and the profit gate defined, the question becomes, what real-world scale does that execution require? This is where the biggest bets come into view. 20 million cars a year means roughly 1 in 4 new vehicles globally carries a Tesla badge. Global light vehicle sales in 2024 were around 75 million, and Tesla is at roughly 1.8 million annual deliveries today, so 20 million is 11x current output. The $25,000 mass market EV is the foundation. On top of it, Tesla's share of transport electricity, software, and data multiplies. Then there's the Robotaxi goal, 1 million autonomous vehicles in commercial service, roughly a third of today's US ride-hail fleet across platforms. Because a Robotaxi can operate nearly 24/7, each vehicle could replace 2 to 3 human-driven cars in utilization. For ordinary life, that means cheaper rides, fewer parked cars, and cleaner air, albeit with significant labour displacement that societies will have to face. McKinsey projects autonomous mobility could reduce private car ownership in cities by up to 20% and become a $300 to $400 billion annual industry by 2035. That's the market Tesla is positioning itself to dominate. And in the compensation plan, either of these can serve as the operational gate that pairs with a market cap rung to unlock a tranche. Next, we'll layer in the other scale drivers, humanoids and energy systems that complete the picture. 1 million Optimus units isn't cool tech, it's labour economics. If each replaces even one repetitive role, society gets a productivity dividend and a policy problem. Humanoids still face 5 hard gates before mainstream: dexterous hands for unstructured tasks, human-safe reliability, autonomy outside the lab, cost and uptime at scale, and less teleoperation. Progress is real, but general-purpose manipulation at cost is still the lock to pick, and the transition will be messy. Large studies estimate 27% of jobs in OECD countries are in high automation risk roles, and McKinsey's classic range put global displacement at 400 to 800 million people by 2030, with many redeployed over time. Cities and firms will need retraining, wage insurance, and phased deployments to absorb shocks. Meanwhile, 1 million energy systems, Megapacks and Powerwalls is the last operational key in the plan. If achieved, it could integrate hundreds of gigawatt hours to low terawatt hours of storage into grids, enough to materially stabilize renewables for cities and AI data centers. Consumers won't notice the boxes, they'll feel the outcome: steadier bills, cleaner grids, fewer blackouts. Can all this happen? Possibly, but not easily. The path to scaling humanoids and robotaxis is paved with major hurdles. The path to scaling Tesla's profit ambition is no less fraught. Robotaxi approvals remain limited, FSD uptake remains modest, and competition in EV hardware from BYD and others is fierce, putting pressure on margins. Meanwhile, margins in auto hardware are compressing. Tesla's automotive gross margin has slipped toward approximately 15–17% in 2025. To reach $400 billion in adjusted EBITDA, Tesla must pivot successfully into software and energy, or the math collapses. And yet, the company's history is built on doing what experts said was impossible. So when shareholders vote this week, they're not approving a $1 trillion paycheck. They're approving a 10-year experiment, a roadmap that asks one question: can Tesla become the operating system of the physical world? If the answer is yes, the rewards and the consequences will reach far beyond Wall Street, into the streets we drive on, the jobs we hold, and the energy that keeps everything running. If you found this breakdown valuable, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who follows the hype but misses the numbers. And tell me in the comments, which milestone do you think Tesla will hit first?